let's talk a little bit about reading the land. If you've watched my previous videos, I should be able to demonstrate to you that I'm in a different part of the land simply by giving myself a little twirl here because of three important factors. These three important factors will help you know where you are in the woods and where you might need to go to get back on track should you get lost. Now, I'm not lost in the woods here. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. I saw a little something down the hill here and it caught my attention, and it just turned out to be a tree that's fallen over and then a clearing here, which might make an okay primitive camping site. But what I did notice is as I walked down the hill, I started moving towards water and I saw things like rhododendron. So right in front of me there's rhododendron. I saw the change from more conifers, which is pine trees. Now there are some pine trees here, like right in front of me, that's a pine, but into more oaks. I also noticed that up the hill, you can see the density there. And really from this one spot, I've got so many different combinations of growth. This density of these very small trees that's right in front of me here, that is where the land had been cleared previously. Where I'm at right now is an older forest area that has more, I guess the trees are further apart. There's fewer smaller trees. There's more larger trees. That would make a more shady canopy, which would block out the new trees from germinating. Where I'm standing here, I see where I've previously marked a fence line. So really, I'm still on my property, but I'm actually downslope from what used to be a cattle pasture. So I'm actually downslope in the woods. I was actually looking for the water, and there's some water down here. And what you'll notice here is I'm at the property line. So we almost have a differentiation. And in fact, I'm going to geotag this deadfall because that might be a useful pole for work later. But what we're at is a transitioning point from what used to be a pasture and is now covered with small trees to what is a moderate aged forest. Now, some people might say, Justin, there's some timber back here. You could make some money off that timber. But I'm going to tell you again, the density of timber here is not as appealing as you might think. It could get some money. There's some oaks. I see some nice little oaks in here, but we're on a slope. So it would be better to select cut this. Now, I'm not a forester. I've worked with foresters. I'm more on the land management side. But also caught my attention here is down this bottom, and we've got water down here. Now, if you thought I was going to walk down slope and walk underneath that, yeah, I'm not as stupid as I look. So let me walk back up here. Essentially, what I want to point out is that you can read the land. You can tell where you're located on the land by the changes in trees, and you can tell the history of the land by the changes in trees. So we have a number. So I'm going through here and I'm seeing a lot of single trunk trees, okay? So right here is single trunk trees. I do see a few trees that were cut off at the ground. Mainly all single trunk. Actually, this one right here, this right here grew out of a stump. You see how that sets? That one grew out of a stump maybe 15, 20 years ago. But when I get down the hill a little bit, because remember, we talk about opening up historical access points. We talk about reopening fields, following fence lines. When I get down the hill a little bit, look at these double trunks, triple trunks. That tells me that this has been cut out before. So why was it cut out? It may have just been cut out to access these trees right here. But ultimately, oh, there you go. There's a ridge line right there. It used to be, it looks like it used to be a road. So we've got a ridge line up here coming off those thin areas, coming down the hill here. And that tells me I want to look for either water collection at the bottom of this ridge line or simply where they turned around. So again, I'm starting to see the grasses come up down here near the water. Tells me there's water in the area. And I see another, see there, these were cut off, or they died off and just rotted at the top. And I see another spray mark where I'm about at the back corner. But look at these pines. A little cluster of pines. I think what I'm going to do, and if you stay on the video, I'm going to show you a few little items here. there's a site that we marked. Okay, there we go. So we came in that way, and we on a level, and we marked a primitive campsite right here. And what I see from the land here is that there used to be access down the hill. Now that access, seeing that I see a plastic bottle out here, was most likely for hunting. It was not likely for anything other than getting in here and watching this creek. You can see that nice backstop you got on the other side there? That's somebody else's property. That backstop there is good to be shooting against when you got a deer or something visiting the creek. But again, let's summarize. Changes in the texture of the woods, the type of trees in the woods, the types of ground cover, the types of plants, tells you either a difference in historical usage, that's a pretty old tree right there, or points of access, and ultimately gives you an idea how you might use the land for best purpose. So we have this little cluster of pines here. When the original property was cleared, these pines probably weren't big enough to do anything with. And then it changes to somebody else's property where they have a bunch of really thin poplars. So I can call this a pine grove, and I can put it on a map. Now, of course, we got some animal bones out here. I can put it on a map, and this is that trash I was talking about. I'm gonna pick that up and take it with me. But I can call this a pine grove and geotag it, and then might be a nice little spot to camp. Might be a nice little spot. Actually, I see a wet hill over there straight ahead. There might be a spring in that hill. But again, the point of my discussion here is, one, you want to survey the characteristics of your land, not just the borders of your land. These characteristics include how the trees change or adjust throughout the land. Also, how does the elevation change in the land, and how does that relate to the boundaries and borders of your property? So a very rough, I know I put those markers there. This is probably a corner. You can see that there's not an abrupt change, but right past the property line, there's just a whole different type of tree. So this is because one area got forested, the other area didn't. If I need firewood, I'm out here. All of this squaw wood here is good and dry, even if it's been raining. The different characteristics of land formation. Do I need a clear, safe backstop in order to take a deer? Well, yes, I can have that if I remember where it is. We're essentially building a mental map to understand the property, to know where to go for resources on the property, and to extract then the historical value in the property. And I'm going to walk up to that big rock there because that caught my interest. Let me just grab this here. This could have made it here because of animals, which is logical because the animals are moving towards water in most cases. But let me move up here. And by the way, I'm not an expert in this. I'm a real big novice when it comes to reading the land. If you want to have a course with a real expert, I know somebody here in this region who holds tracking classes and also some classes about reading the land. And if you'll visit our website, www.prosperityhomestead.org, and ask about tracking, I will be more than happy to get your information over to this gentleman as he's forming classes for tracking, as he's forming classes for reading the land. My strengths are going to be using the LiDAR surveys and using some on-site surveying or assessment in order to find beneficial characteristics of a property so that you can, start a small farm, homestead, or estate. Here you go, look at this rock. I'm king of the rock. So you can see my no hunt purple down there. Again though, notice the changes here. So I'm a little bit higher up from where I was. I'm above what I'm calling a pine grove. Should be a great meditation area, a good primitive camping site. And now I'm up into the scrub again. Now the rock I'm standing on obviously wasn't in the middle of a road somewhere, and I don't see other rocks mounded up against it. So that tells me I do see double trunks. It tells me that if there was a road or access point on contour, on ridge, coming down slope, that it wasn't accessed by vehicles. Wasn't accessed by vehicles. It's most likely simply where they were marking the line of the property. Oh, this is pretty exciting. I'm actually going to turn the camera off and I'm going to go off and do something else. Check out the other videos we have. You will learn a lot about how to get the most from your land with the least amount of inputs and how to start enjoying your land. I'm just taking a leisurely hike today, kind of get some chill and relaxation in. But it starts with observing the land. It starts with looking at what you've got, the changes of the characteristics of the land, and then how you might enhance that by working with it in order to get what you're looking for. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. Be sure to ask your questions and check out the rest of the videos. Thank you for being a part of what we're doing here. And oh man, there's just so much I could talk about right now, but folks, I'm going to take a hike. And hang around, watch some more videos. They'll be on here.